You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again, diving into another frenzied kind of week, I'm sure, because it's portal season. We'll get into some of the goings on for Texas Tech thus far. I want to get into a conversation regarding the QB room, which obviously has been a topic of conversation given the Baron Morton news from the weekend. Check out our last episode for our thoughts on him not playing in the Liberty Bowl. So there's a here and now interest in the QB depth chart, and there is an interest as far as the future because you've talked about going after and having a QB on your list as far as targets. And so some are asking about the context of that, as in, why are you getting this type or not getting this type, et cetera. So we'll dive into a little bit of that, try to add some context to that picture. Want to get into a couple of things that have happened so far and maybe what's standing out to you as far as what has been addressed. We'll hit the hardwood because Grant McCasland and company are going to do that same thing to kick off this week. So we'll talk some Tech hoops, but just wanted to kick off our conversation and the week with you in general, Chris, sort of in a state of the portal frame of mind. Where have we come from? What's been done? What's left to be done for Texas Tech? And what do you make, I guess, of the start, man? Because there's been news and there's been a pile of it, but also the quality of those that it seems like you're involved with and landing so far has, I think, taken some fans by surprise.
Yeah, you've again, it depends on when people consume or watch this, listen, whatever it may be. There could be more things going on, but as you progress into this week, these will be highly sought after players that you're going to be involved with as we get into this week, if you get anybody. And I'm not saying it's more difficult, but these are, I think with a lot of the guys that you have added, you got them on first or second visits. The ones that are coming in or are on campus right now are coming in this week. They're on their second, third, fourth visit. And what do those dynamics look like? How has that changed? What's the, are people panicking and going, okay, well, if we can't, it's just all negotiation, I guess, at some level, and you're recruiting. But you still have work to do on the offensive line. You still have work to do on the defensive line. That is my main focus. I know that is yours as well. I think you'll get some news on some offensive skill at some point. I think you've about, not quite, but you've about wrapped up your secondary needs or what you may add there. And then it's just going to come down to, and I think running back is like a potentially, I don't want to call it like high profile, but I think that would be more of an exciting, sexy get, depending on who that is, because that's an individual that will factor in right away. But it's going to come back to the lines of scrimmage this week. And that's where it gets interesting because, again, the competition is fierce and there's only so many quality big people out there, and everybody wants them and everybody's willing to pay significantly to acquire their services.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt. I know you talked about kind of eventually as you get through the process on the back end, there's, some filling in of depth or pieces that are maybe more rotational, but
we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not really anywhere near that.
No. These are everybody that you've heard. Either that is the only, and we'll get into the conversation about the QB in a second. But everybody that's either been announced or rumored to be announced or on the cusp of announcing, whatever. These are all, I think, expected to either start or heavily contribute. I think it would be a minor upset if they weren't in a starting position or heavy contribution. And I can't, like the DB part of it, that's a bit tricky. They'll all play.
Right.
I don't know who will start. That's a bit different than some of these other positions. They'll all factor in on special teams and then secondary and in various packages. Who's just starting this? Who's just starting that? Yeah, they'll all play. But yeah, everybody that you'll start to see, the running back would be a potential starter / rotational. The tight end would be a potential rotational guy. I don't think you'll get somebody that comes in and is starting ahead of John Carlos, but could be wrong. But they'll play a lot. The quarterback certainly is not going to be thought to. You hope that he never takes a snap, whoever it is. But the rest are going to theoretically be in line to, kind of dictate what kind of team you're going to be. Honestly,
sure.
I mean that's just the reality of it, and the work you get done there will ultimately determine if you can win and win big, because that's what's going to ultimately decide it. Yeah, and QB health and all that factors in, but what we'll see in the coming days when you add, what you add to Hunter Zambrano and what you add to Skylar Gill Howard. I'm still memorizing all these guys' names. That's the, what you add to those guys. That's really going to ultimately decide this thing.
I want to skip around here on the rundown bullet points on the side of the screen. I'll circle back to some quarterback context in just a moment, because I wanted to ask you about the cream of the so far crop. We're not done painting this picture. It's obviously a long way from over as far as the group is concerned, but what's really hit you the most as far as standing out to you?
Well, I guess what I've been excited about them. I mean, the receiver was very difficult to get that you've gotten. He was extremely coveted. This was a big one, but you have help there. I think so. To me, Hunter Zambrano and Skylar Gill Howard, it's one of those two guys, and I probably would lean towards Zambrano. That I would say that's what I've been excited about or focused on the most, because you've got maybe more help on the defensive line than you do offensive line, but not necessarily. You need some difference makers, and you need age and experience and maturity, especially on the offensive line. Your young pups, I think, are on the come. I think we may see one or two of them factor in heavily in the bowl game in a week or so. But I just don't know if you're ready to say, hey, 19-year-old, go be great and good luck against the 23 and 24-year-olds out there. I just don't know if that's a recipe to win and win big right now, like we're sitting here talking. To factor in and to spot start, or maybe somebody does have a tremendous offseason and they just they flourish and add some weight in the weight room and all that. You get what I'm saying. I just don't know. So adding somebody like Hunter Zambrano that is very highly thought of, was on the top of all the portal lists and things like that, and he's got position flex, so it protects you. He can do a variety of different things for you if needed, and I think you would maybe ultimately love to have him just like pencil him in and maybe even put him in pen if things go well at right guard, which would mean that you would be looking to, because he could do, I think he's a right guard, right tackle, or left tackle for you. I'm just not sure how, but that's going to depend on what else you get done here. And he can do it, but I think you're aiming for him to be able to be a piece, not just like hey, you're our big get. No, I think you're still definitely looking to add there on the offensive line. So that's the one that I think I would be excited about the most, but I think he needs some buddies with him.
You're not done there
in this portal class. Yes.
Yeah. Well, man, isn't that fun? Isn't it just fun to think like, hey, you've got a chance at least. It's not a guarantee, but your offensive line stinks. Here's your opportunity to immediately impact that compared to what the process used to be like. It's like moving at a snail's pace, trying to turn around a battleship.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, and it's still. a rigorous chore. I understand that. I'm not trying to diminish the challenge, but as I said over the weekend or maybe on Friday's episode, I'm here for the frenzy. I'm loving this. I know some people, it's tearing you apart inside. You're sentimental out there. Oh, it's destroying college football. No, not going to hear those words come out of my mouth. And that's without it even potentially working out for Tech. I just like the goings on every day, much less if you're actually landing quality players and, you make yourself a better football team over the course of an off season.
Well, it giveth and it taketh. There's two ways to this deal, and I think that you may indeed lose more players from your roster that you're like, oh man, the Micah Hudson thing, but there may be another wave. You're gonna have to trim your roster in the spring, all that stuff. But what is interesting is that there's some negatives out there, and I get that people can kind of be on all sides of this. They can be one side or the other. They can be on the fence or just take it as it comes. But one of the positives out there are these quote unquote group of five players that are able to elevate. They're late bloomers, or they were overlooked in the recruiting process. And I think I saw something over the weekend that like 6 of the 8 Heisman finalists or the top vote getters started out at an FCS or group of 5 school originally, and they were able to. So that is one of the benefits, is that it allows some of these, the Miami of Ohio types, the Northern Illinois types, the North Dakota State types to elevate and play at a much higher level and be compensated for it. And that is one of the positives. And I think it's been interesting to see Texas Tech kind of, I think it's just more coincidence almost that they have, landed that the majority of their portal ads have kind of been that. But I think there's a bit of the method of the madness there. And I think that there's really good football players at that level, and those levels, there's just not enough of them for those teams to do it week in and week out, right? But the NFL, just watch the draft sometime, and you'll hear from all these schools, and sometimes multiple occasions. But yeah, so that's the portal has certainly been fun to kind of watch that aspect of it. And I think Texas Tech trying to take advantage of that part of it for sure.
I know we're all invested in following what's going to continue to happen in the trenches as far as additions, but everybody's always interested in the quarterback room, right? And you're looking for a piece there. But what exactly the piece is going to look like is what I'm curious to ask you about, Chris, and kind of how this fits in. This is going to be a very interesting quarterbacking offseason in Lubbock, Texas, America that we've got coming up. And whoever this addition is obviously going to factor into that to some degree. So what does that context actually look like, you think, ideally? Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle all the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet only $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL and a whole lot more, all in one place. So when you get a hunch, a gut instinct in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a gut feeling again, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
This is one of the trickiest positions to manage, I guess, in this era. Everybody needs one, and preferably a really good one. But as we have seen, that's not just all that you need. You need more than that. It's not just about getting through a season, or the TCU game, for example, getting through a game. But you need more than one to get through a game or a season or whatever. But it's also about practice and everything. Think about it like this. What if you were because there are 2 teams that I'm aware of, and maybe I'm missing somebody, but there's 2 teams in the playoff. I think Boise State and Penn State their backups are in the portal, and I believe, I could be wrong here, but I believe neither one of those guys have remained with their team. And they're at the top of the mountain kind of thing, like competing to get to the top of the mountain, but they're in the tournament. I mean, how crazy is that? So anyway, why do you need a quarterback? Because I've had, I think you have too. You've had people, like, okay, why, or what are you trying to go get, or whatever. There's a lot of things that led to us to this point, and it's just you've had Cam Brown and Jake Strong get into the portal. I do think, and we'll see if I'm right or not, I think Jake Strong will play in this bowl game, but I think he wants to go play somewhere, and I don't know if you can provide him that opportunity. Cam Brown, I think, wanted to get closer to home. I don't think he's with the team anymore. And now you've got a quarterback that's on the shelf for 4 to 6 months. We'll call it 5, and he's going to miss the spring. So if we start looking at it, okay, well, that leaves Will Hammond for spring football. You also factor in that you signed Lloyd Jones. His nickname is Chubb. You signed him. He got hurt in late September-ish. It was a knee injury. He's going to miss, 6 to 8 months or whatever. So he's not going to be involved with your program in the spring and even into the summer. I mean, it may spill into July or August. This is why you need a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And it's tricky because, nobody wants to hear, hey, dude, we just need you for practice. I mean, that is like really in a best case scenario, that's your hope. So,
hey, maybe more guys do want to hear that now. I was just thinking the only place you hear that or you want to hear that is in the National Football League. Shout out to Chase Daniel. I wonder if there are guys.
Clipboard.
Yeah, I wonder if there are guys on the college level with some compensation now being in the picture that maybe consider that differently as far as being a depth piece. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I think Chase Daniel made a really good living at that.
Ain't no shame in that.
And he's got all of his health because he never hardly played.
Of course, nothing but golf.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's good.
But I wonder if that's is that a mode of or a mindset now that's out there maybe for a guy here or there that previously is like not thinking that way at all because it wasn't part of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly possible that somebody just is the key though. The key though there is that, like the example of Chase Daniel, you saw enough of him at some point to go, he is really good. And most of these guys, if you see any of that, they're probably wanting to go start because the money is probably significant. So
yeah,
potentially,
yeah.
I think what you're going to look to add here is that they had a quarterback on campus over the weekend that's from the ACC, and we'll see if you end up with somebody like this. And it may have gone well with this particular player, but he's got like 1 year to play. And he's actually started games before in the ACC. And I think he's under no illusions he's coming in here to start. It's really a perfect scenario for you if you can add somebody like this because it doesn't upset the apple cart with, Barron and Will. And it doesn't, like if you bring in somebody with 3 or 4 years, then Lloyd Jones is going, well, I mean, what am I doing here? Like, I guess I'll go ahead and try to, and you don't know how people are going to think with all that, but that's what you're trying to manage. And that's exactly why you basically picked Baron Morton over Tyler Shuck because Baron Morton had more years to give you than Tyler Shuck at the time did, like say a year ago. But and I think that if you can get somebody that started in the Power Four previously and he's willing to be a good teammate and get you out of a game or potentially start if he just absolutely had to, if you're 1 and 2 were dinged up and all that, I think that's pretty much an ideal scenario. But yeah, if you're thinking you're going to go sign some 4 or 5-star kid that you're going to add to your QB room on some sort of new plan, I think you're missing the context there. I think they feel really good about who they have. It's just a matter of a couple of these guys are injured. And so you definitely need you have to go get somebody. And that's why I just wondered if, would Jake Strong reconsider and like, man, I'm going to get every every second team rep in the spring. Like, can I use that and maybe push Will Hammond or Baron Morton? Can I really improve? And then, but I don't know what he would be thinking. I don't know if they would say, hey, man, it's probably best if you do go try to find. I just don't know. But you need somebody like that. And I think you definitely need them here quickly because, theoretically on paper, you have one quarterback that'll be healthy enough to throw the football in the spring.
Yikes. Have we moved on, just really quickly before we move on in our conversation, have we moved on from the pursuit of like a quarterback in the mold of Cam Brown or someone that can factor in week to week, or is that still out there?
Well, and that was, I think, something that Zach Kitley preferred or liked. Mm-hmm. It obviously didn't work like they would have hoped or thought maybe this year, and maybe Jalen Conyers simply took that, roll over.
Yeah, in a way.
All of that could be in play, but it's also, Will Hammond just kind of passed up Cam Brown. And so at some level, it's like, man, if there's anybody out there that's going to snap it on every down basis, that's going to be Will Hammond. He passed up Jake Strong and Cam Brown. But now Mac Leftwich is here. I don't know what his thoughts would be there. I don't know if he would, if he likes that kind of gadget player, whether it be a tight end or a quarterback that can kind of do some of that in short yardage in the red zone. I'm not real sure, but I guess we'll kind of find out, because you are looking to take a tight end, and there was one on campus over the weekend that I think is very interesting player that I think a lot of people want. And he's got some interesting skill sets. So, but I can't pretend to know kind of exact. And Mac Leftwich may not even have a good feel yet for what he would want to do, because he hasn't really seen what he's got yet, and that may be to be determined.
Gotcha. Okay. Just curious on that. It's been kind of fun to watch, whether it was the tight end or maybe theoretically a quarterback factor in that gadget way or whatever way you want to describe it. Kind of hope something maybe like that continues, but we'll see what the personnel provides for as far as what they're best suited for. Before we get out of here, Chris, I want to switch gears with you and hit the hardwood. Grant McCaslin and the Red Raiders are back at it from United Supermarkets Arena. First, today's episode brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of the year. The College Football Playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Grant McCaslin and the Red Raiders are back at it from United Supermarkets Arena Monday night as Oral Bob fits the description of the next potential victim. At the top of the list, a man they call Toppin for every inquiring mind. So we might as well just start there with, I think what I last heard was being described as a true day-to-day situation. So what do you think game day could bring?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he was good to go, they would have told you that. And so I think that was whenever that press conference was, or when that was stated. Was that like on Thursday or Friday? I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. At some point at the end of last week, and obviously multiple days have passed since, and you just hope. But it's going to come down to, is he healthy enough to where they're like, okay, you're good now, like, or he's just not quite. I mean, I just don't know if they want to do that with everything still in front of him. You should be able to beat Oral Roberts, that's 3-7, without him. And that's why I would, not that you want to tell your kids that, or not that you want to parade that around, but I think you want to make sure that he's okay, because here you're running out of days. You're now about 2.5 weeks away or so from the conference opener with UCF in town. And then you've got trips to, two road games in the state of Utah with BYU and Utah coming up after that. And you're just like 2 games a week, you're going to get over the head with it. So yeah, that's just the only way I know to answer it. So hopefully he's on the floor tonight. Hopefully he's okay and in good spirits and able and all that kind of stuff. But if not, I unless there's been a setback, I think he was really close, because I think obviously day to day is about as close as you can get. But heck, we're all day to day, right? Aren't we?
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But you're about to run out of opportunities to gel, opportunities to get better at some of the things that you have struggled with. Guarding the ball, keeping people out of the paint, rebounding at times, getting to the free throw line on offense at times and generating offense that way. You've got 2 opportunities left, and then it's just like you're not going to get much more time. I mean, you're still in the window, but you're just not going to get much more time to ultimately just like practice, because there's 2 games a week, then you have a day off, then there's travel days, and it just starts to pile up on you, and you just don't have a lot of time to like work on certain things. So this is an important week to 2 weeks, and then you're going to, factor in the Christmas holiday into that equation as well. But tonight will be interesting. You'll be a heavy favorite. They're 3-7, like I said. They've got a 6-foot guard named Justin McBride that averages about 16, 17 a game. This is a once proud program, but they've been hit very hard with the portal and coaching changes. I mean, people wanted to be a part of it and take coaches, take players. And so I think they're trying to reinvent and trying to figure out, okay, can we get back to where we were? Because this was 30-win team there for a stretch, multiple years with some of the best players. I mean, Kevin O'Banner, ring a bell for you? Max Asmus, was his co-pilot, and he, obviously transferred to Texas last year and all that. But they've got a really good guard in Justin McBride, who's a 6-foot senior. But you should be okay tonight. But we'll see. But this is more about you. This is more about what you need to work on and what you need to get done, and really who's playing for you. Because if JT's not playing, you really need Federico and EY to continue to flourish and get better and use these minutes to continue to improve and all those things, because these guys are going to be needed big time here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of hard to believe, but final couple of tune-ups before you get to conference play, and then it is on and popping, to use an industry term. Chris, I know it's going to stay popping this week, so stay close, my friend. The Portal Frenzy rolls on, and we will reconvene at the next need, which could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So hang tight, but enjoyed it as always, man. Appreciate the insight and the time, and we'll see you for the next one.
You got it. Sounds good. Hopefully see everybody at the arena tonight, and big week, portal season, SZN, I think is what the young people say. So yeah, there you go.
Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. We appreciate you being out there. Thanks to the everydayers. Great to see you once again, and shout out to the Matador Mob, keeping us busy. You want to talk about frenzied. They are frothing at the mouth, foaming. Yeah. I've seen pictures. Hit the show notes. Find the link there for a free 14-day trial. If you are interested in becoming a Matador Mobster, your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. Thanks for the time as always. For Chris, I'm Casey, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.